Welcome, Chiefs Kingdom. Thanks for tuning in to this Red Kingdom Media production, bringing you raw, authentic Chiefs coverage. Make sure to like and subscribe to stay up to date on your team. Now sit back and enjoy the show. Well, this is for behind the scenes. Take 2 of this. Welcome to this edition of the Home of the Chiefs podcast, where the Chiefs are our home. I'm your host, Clinton Petrie. Joined with me, as always, Shannon Brush. How are you this afternoon or morning or whenever we're recording? We'll keep it a big secret.
We're doing good.
Yes. Just very, very pumped for this weekend of Chiefs football we got ahead of us.
Yes.
But we got a lot to discuss, and so I'm not going to waste any more of your time getting into it. Today's topics, we're going to talk about how the Eagles game, fortunately that victory slipped away, much like it did out of all the receivers' hands and out of Mahomes' hands to throw an interception. So we'll discuss all the somewhat crappiness about that Eagles loss and get us back on track for the next week ahead, which goes into the double or nothing topic. As we know, the Las Vegas Raiders started 14-0 on the Chiefs, and then the Chiefs had about 31 unanswered points back, winning that game. So we'll talk about that process. That will also coincide with the offense, whether or not we believe that confidence will continue, especially amongst the 2 stars that popped within the Raiders game, Isiah Pacheco and Rashee Rice. And then we're also going to give you a Packers preview for Sunday Night Football and give you kind of just our broad expectations for that game. So before we get into it, make sure you all hit the like button and subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on all our social media platforms at Red Kingdom Media. Leave a comment, do all that stuff. Let us know you're into us so we can get you into it even more and get all your friends and family into it as well.
Yep.
Okay, down to business. The Chiefs lost on Monday Night Football to the Philadelphia Eagles. Final score of 17-21, where all 17 points came prior to halftime, and the Eagles were able to go on a 2-touchdown unanswered run to ice the game away. And the offense had several chances to go ahead or take the lead or win the game at any point in time over those last third and fourth quarters. And none of it happened.
Yeah, they just couldn't get it done.
What are your thoughts, like, overall about the Eagles game? And summarize that feeling that you had kind of start to finish.
Yeah, in like the beginning, I felt pretty good. Like things were going pretty smooth, and I felt like it was a little bit rocky in the second quarter.
Yeah,
and then
for sure.
Like we were okay until like the third and fourth quarter, and then that's where everything just started to go wrong. And it was frustrating, as it always is.
And then by the time all the like fourth quarter mistakes were hitting, we were already kind of mentally checked out in that offense. At least for the rest of that Monday night game was kind of at a loss.
Yep.
They were unable to find themselves. They couldn't stop making mistakes.
Yeah, they made so many mistakes.
So
many like awful mistakes that it was bad.
There was a momentum in the air that felt like it wasn't working out.
Yeah.
And if it was like maybe like the Raiders, like we'll talk about here in a bit, if it was a team like that versus arguably the best team in the NFL record-wise.
Yeah.
If the Chiefs made that many mistakes, you'd expect them to lose. And
yeah,
the Chiefs lost to the Broncos making a bunch of mistakes. So
True.
It doesn't matter who you make mistakes to. If you make mistakes, you can lose to any team.
Mm-hmm.
So that was always the biggest red flag for this team.
Yeah.
It was a big flag in week 1.
Yeah, in the beginning.
It was still rearing its head 11 weeks later.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I feel like they need to really like hone in on that and focus and fix that.
Agreed.
Or else they're really going to struggle in the playoffs and the postseason.
Agreed. I think some more just overall topics around the Eagles game. I'm fairly happy with the defense's performance. They gave up scores, and you can be upset. You can say, "Oh, defense has to just keep this score exactly how it is all the time," and maybe that's how other people would argue. But I think I'm realistic and to know that even as great as our defense has shown themselves to be, they can only stop good offenses so many times.
Yeah, exactly.
So they did what they could. The tush push got them 2 scores.
Mm-hmm.
It was going to happen. The defense was doing great. Like the first half of that game, pretty much denying that because they were keeping them in 4th and 4 and 5 yards.
Yeah,
versus a 4th and 2 that would make it appealing to them to
go for
to sneak it.
Mm-hmm.
So I talked about this after the post game, I'm pretty sure, but like that was a fun strategy to see because it was like, oh, the tush push doesn't matter if they're never in a proper place for them to use it.
Yeah.
And like, oh, so the margin for you going for it and not going for it is this many yards. Okay, good to know. On 3rd down, we have to make sure that you only pick up a couple.
Yeah.
And not so much close to the 1st down that you think about it.
True.
So the defense did their job. We saw L'Jarius Sneed get a pick on Jalen Hurts. The defense made Jalen Hurts look pedestrian.
Mm-hmm.
And, offense messed up too many times.
Yeah.
That's simplest way to say it.
Yeah.
It was up to them. They could have iced the game several times, and they just couldn't do it. They couldn't stop staying out of their own way. So that was that.
Yep.
Eagles fans, shout out to y'all. Y'all were hype at the stadium.
Yeah, there were a lot.
Super
of Eagles
cool.
Fans there.
Really respectful. No issues here.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all didn't talk much in the actual game, so you guys must have had some scared thoughts about the game.
Yeah, they must have been nervous.
But then you started to get a little more confident when all of us also saw that the offense was just that they couldn't stay out of their own way.
Yeah.
Point blank. So that transitions to the next segment, Double or Nothing. So in the description, I have it that clearly we were very hungover or something in this game, and that's why they just didn't show up at the beginning of the game. They were down 14-0. The offense was not getting any yards going. They barely touched the ball.
Mm-hmm.
The defense looked like they were getting thrown and run on. Like the Raiders were doing whatever they wanted to start that game.
I was like, where are they?
So
did they come
to
14, play this game?
Yeah, it's 14-0. You were sitting on that couch. You were waiting for this game, especially after the heartbreaker that Monday was. So tell me how you're feeling looking at that scoreboard before we now know the offense starts to pick up.
I was mad. I was like, what the heck are they doing? I'm so like, I thought the season was over. I was like, ugh, I'm done. This team is just so frustrating.
True.
And that's what I thought the entire time. And then after halftime, they must have got like fluids or something. Something happened, but they came back and they like dominated. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Guess they can do that.
It was a good second quarter. So thankfully the Chiefs didn't feel like being down at halftime. They saw 14-0 and saw time in the second quarter. And
yeah,
said,
they're
all
like,
right,
oh yeah,
we can
and
attack them this time.
they didn't really have like a lot of ball time in the first half either.
No, so that's the thing. The first quarter, that was the joke. The first drive, they had 0 yards because they went backwards 11 yards in the game, those back then. And then think about like 13 or so yards the second time. So they'd only had the ball for about 7, 8 plays, including the punts, and didn't even make it 20 yards field. After that point, once they had the ball, they were moving down the field, doing whatever they wanted to do.
Yeah, exactly. It's like they got like the hold on it that they needed.
Yes. They woke up. I think whereas Monday's game, it looked like Patrick was trying too hard. This game, it looked like Patrick was like mad.
Yeah.
And like all the quotes are that he loves his receivers and he'll always have faith in them and blah, blah, blah. It's like, fine, that may be the case, but when you step on the field, I want you pissed at them. Like, especially knowing that you're not winning right now.
Yeah.
Like, you are the one that has the most fire, and you're the leader, so it's up to you to reinforce
really,
that.
Light the fire under their butts.
That like anxiety, like, hey guys, every game matters. You can't lose any
from
more
here
games.
on out. Yeah, it's like if you lose more game, it's gonna be hard to come back from that.
And if they continue to play like first quarter Raiders game in the playoffs, we were looking to be just completely smoked by somebody.
Run over. Yeah.
Now there's a little bit of optimism churning through, I'd say. We saw Isiah Pacheco. He got like about 15 carries, got lots of screen passes as well. So
he was really good.
100 all-purpose yards, I'd say, between rushing and receiving. And then obviously we've hyped him up on several shows this week. Rashee Rice got his 100 yards and is looking like he is the best receiver on the Chiefs.
Yeah.
And now the stat sheet says that.
Yeah.
And the snap count shows that. It shows Rashee Rice getting majority of like the main wide receiver snaps, and MVS and Justin Watson and Sky Moore, they're starting to get pushed down a little bit in importance.
Yeah, and I haven't heard like Sky Moore. I haven't really heard his name that much this year at all,
which is unfortunate because he's a second-round rookie just like Rashee is, but he's been in the system for a full year.
Yeah,
and you expect big things from him.
Yeah,
and I've discussed with Dale either on like shows or just like off to the side. Like the only difference between this year and last year, besides Eric Bieniemy, and everyone will say that's the big difference. The big difference to me is a wide receiver coach is somebody who's never been in the NFL before.
Ooh.
So it feels like he's learning just like everybody else is learning.
Yep,
and if you're a coach, you want the impression that your coach knows everything about it.
Yes, exactly.
That, like, they drill down into you the things to expect. So when you, the player, get on the field, you don't do any thinking.
Exactly. You don't know what to do. So
and your brain processes, oh, okay, this is what coach said here. So if I see this, I should be doing this and I should be wide open or whatever the case. And it's been a struggle for wide receivers. And it's mostly looked like self-inflicted struggles because people can go back and look at the tapes and stuff, and they look like wide receivers are open. Patrick doesn't look to them to throw it to. Or there's the case of a wide receiver might be running his route, but not in the way that he's supposed to.
Yeah.
So it's Patrick isn't trusting what he sees.
Yeah. He isn't trusting the guys.
So
but he needs to.
And we've said it already. It's not even just like the youngsters. It's guys who have already been on this team. And
that's what's frustrating.
As much trust and faith that Patrick has in Travis, defenses are catching up.
Oh,
and Travis is not
definitely
the athlete that he used to be. He's still coming off an injury.
He's getting older.
We have to remember
an injury. Yep.
and he gets double, triple team nearly every time.
Yeah.
And it only seems like when we're really in a bind, that's when it's like a force feed to Kelce and he can make his way open. But when we're like trying to just have an offense, I guess, it's not working. Like, instead of trusting that, okay, this play, this wide receiver should be the guy who I'm mainly targeting on, but it's Travis, so I always want to keep looking for Travis. Whereas maybe if you look at Travis right there, you look away from
another guy that's open
when that's the opportunity.
Yeah.
So we don't 100% know because we're just fans and we'll always just have to speculate. But I mean, that's my impression.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
That it's mostly this wide receiver coach being brand new, that these guys you expected to see a step forward are kind of just the same, or if not slightly regressed. But Rashee Rice is the outlier. And if he keeps having some baller games, he could get up to like 1,000 yards, which would be huge for a rookie wide receiver.
That would be so cool.
I mean, his stats are, they're not like exactly 1-to-1, but they're like in the same ballpark of a rookie Tyreek Hill within the offense.
Yeah.
Some other like wide receivers that Andy Reid has taken as a rookie and actually utilized, because that's the whole shtick is that, Andy Reid, he takes wide receivers and never uses them because the offense is so difficult. But if you are a good wide receiver, then Andy Reid will use you.
Yeah.
So we all saw that like sparkle in Rashee, that he's already getting this type of attention so early in the season. He got a touchdown the very first game. Like all these are big signals that like the team trusts what they see in Rashee Rice, and Mahomes trusts him. And that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And we'd still like to see Mahomes trust all the wide receivers on this team. But we now see kind of the blueprint of who we think should be the focal point. So all that leading into the conversation of, do we think that this offense can continue to look downright dominant the way they did when they kicked on the gear and scored those 28 points, 4 touchdowns in a row unanswered? So do we have confidence that this offense can match what they've done and continue to match that? Or do you feel like we are due for another regression or a letdown period like we've seen several points before?
I think that they're going to continue to do better, because if they can do it once, they can do it again.
You would think.
So,
right?
And so I feel like you could really take that blueprint, like you said, and really go into the postseason with it, and make sure that the games are either really like dominating or really close, so we can win in the end.
I agree. The way the Raiders game started, it wasn't looking good.
Yeah.
Because of what transpired. But when you like look at the plays that actually were called and stuff, the idea was there. It was like, get Pacheco the ball early, get him in runs, get him in screens, like just get him a wide receiver type screen on the side versus like your offensive lineman getting out and stuff. So they were trying to feature Pacheco, and then when they were in that kind of gotta have it period, you'd see them throw it to Rice a lot for clutch catches. And then, some other guys would get a play here and there. And that's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah. If Rice
maybe Isiah Pacheco and Rashee Rice, they get majority of the target, majority of the actual offense is going. But then you mix it up and you do one of these other plays that gets a Sky Moore open for 15 yards, no problem. Like, that's what we want to see. We want to see Justin Watson get one catch, and it's only in the end zone for a touchdown. He's a great wide receiver, but he's not a wide receiver one. Rashee Rice is a wide receiver one.
Yeah.
His stats might not always say that for every game, but his confidence is a wide receiver 1. His athleticism is a wide receiver 1.
Mm-hmm.
The trust that his quarterback has in him already signals a wide receiver 1. The confidence that his offensive-minded head coach has for him says a lot about him as a wide receiver 1.
True.
And the fact that Brett Veach and Andy Reid took a look at this team and said, no, we're good. We don't need any more receivers. Especially at the beginning of the season when it was such a hype thing that the Chiefs were keeping like 7 receivers. And the trade deadline came and everyone was still saying, well, where's a good wide receiver?
Yeah, that's right.
So Andy likes having different players to do different things.
Yeah, he likes specific people to do specific things.
And if not that, then he's got certain roles that he likes to always have.
Yeah.
So maybe having a guy in a certain role on TV watching doesn't look the most appealing way to be utilizing him. But Andy Reid saying him doing this role is what he needs for the offense to work.
Yeah.
So all of it will come down to they see more in Tony and go down the list of some other offensive players. They have trust and believe in them, even at times where they've also let you down.
Yeah.
So they will always give that impression like they have faith in you. They trust you to get it done in the big moments, despite some struggles that have already happened. So, I mean, but forget all those other guys. It's Pacheco and Rashee Rice. If I'm on a steady diet, I'm full on popping rice. That's what I'm doing. I'm getting full. I'm drinking a pop, just nonstop. And he's aggressive, so I'll burp it right back up. Second you take a sip, you'll burp it right back up. That's the Pacheco effect. And then just get a big hefty bowl of rice and just sit there the whole game. It'll be filling and it'll get the job done. It'll fill you up.
Yep.
So
it's simple, but it'll fill you up.
Any other thing you want to talk about those two?
No, just that they're great and they need to continue to be great. And if they continue that, then we'll be in a pretty good spot in the postseason.
And then to coincide with this same topic before we shift the framing of it through the Packers game, the defense, so they gave up those 2 touchdowns. There was that missed field goal Raiders should have had, so arguably it could have been like 17 points.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
But they only allowed 3 score drives, 2 touchdowns again in that field goal late in the game that ultimately didn't matter. And so we talked that the Eagles, they like to go for it on 4th down and stuff like that. We saw the Raiders down 2 scores, go for it inside their own 20 and not get it.
Yeah.
So shout out to that defense being ready for that and shutting it down, basically giving the offense a short field, waste however much time off the clock, make it a 14-point margin.
Yeah.
And
that was good.
Wait for the clock to move out. So it looked like it was going to be painful for them. I mean, their best wide receiver was going off in the first quarter.
Yeah.
But everything shut down second quarter and onward. So shout out to Spags and the defense for clamping that up. This is coming out Friday. So on Thursday's press conferences, when the coordinators spoke, Matt Nagy's offense. So when Steve Spagnuolo, the defensive coordinator, spoke, he was talking that, there wasn't anything that the Raiders were doing differently that we weren't accounting for. It just was the actual defense was making mistakes. Like the defense wasn't doing what they were coached to do, and that's what allowed them to give up the scores or big plays or whatever whatever they
Whatever
talk
the
about,
case,
whatever in
yeah.
the film room they go over. The defensive line coach, Chris Jones, had a quote that Joe Cole, the defensive line coach, was chewing him out because Chris Jones was freelancing.
Oh.
So don't freelance. And this defense is so good, you might want to do the extra to get yours, but you can't because this defense is so good. If you just play a sound defensive game doing your job, Bill Belichick quote, this is a good defense. And should be able to stop majority of average to bad offenses and do their damnedest to hold off the really good and elite offenses. So they have the tools and they have the guys. Whether they continue to put them in positions, we're seeing Nick Bolton come back, so the defense gets even better. Having all three of your really good linebackers back. Spags has got to be just rubbing his palms together, excited for all the stuff he can do for this defense for the rest of this stretch in the playoffs and for the rest of this regular season that we have going into the playoffs. But hope you guys are enjoying. Before we continue, I'm just going to ask you all to like and subscribe. Follow us on all our social media platforms at Red Kingdom Media to let us know you're enjoying what you're watching. So that will transition us into giving you a Green Bay Packers preview. So the defense itself, we saw them. They were doing well to finish the Raiders game. The impression is like this Packers game is pretty similar to the Raiders. They've got like some big-time wide receivers. They got some good secondary. They focus on running the ball. It's going to be cold. It's going to be Sunday night. We're going to be the only game on TV. It's going to be cold and snowy. So how do you see this Packers game going in your mind?
I don't know. I feel like they could probably start off slow again because that's kind of how we've seen. But I feel like they can get it done and they can pull out the win in this one. I feel like they're confident enough now, and really the last game really showed me that, and they can really come back from like a 14-0 deficit and just kind of dominate. So
I agree.
So I'm not too worried about it. I'm like a little nervous, but it's like it's not gonna be too bad.
Would you be more concerned that the defense gives up like 30 points or that the offense could barely score 20 points?
Probably more concerned. I don't know, probably more concerned about the offense.
I think, knock on wood, I think our super bad offensive periods are done.
I think so.
Because it seemed like that Raiders game, they were willing to have the game plan focused around the best players and utilizing them versus like going back to what they thought they relied on. So I'm a little more confident that urgency is there. I don't think they're in a, foot on the throat win by a lot. But I feel like they've been spooked enough that offense needs to keep clicking. And when they have that like, oh shoot type of feeling, they have to just throw that away and resort back to that gotta have it mode that they had in this previous game against the Raiders. So that's my opinion. I think they'll come out on top, but it's not. This ain't predictions.
I know.
So I think we're in for a true get right game in the fact that we only saw it slightly against the Bears, and the Bears are going to be a bottom league team. Green Bay might turn out to be towards the middle of the pack. Pun intended. So we get to see, average offense, average defense. Where do we feel like we stack so we can reassess our standards? And
True.
stuff. So Any more final thoughts about this Packers matchup?
It'll be exciting to watch. I feel like the Packers aren't really like, they've been okay, but they're not like the strongest team.
Right.
They're like a middle team.
To some degree, they've been kind of hit and miss like the Chiefs have been.
Yeah.
Like prior to Thanksgiving, they weren't doing hardly much. And that's when their quarterback wants to look really good.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
We shall see. But of course, we will be there for you after that game is over. If you guys aren't aware, we put on a live post-game show immediately following all Chiefs games. So if you guys are not doing anything late Sunday after the game or want something to listen to maybe the Monday after when you can't sleep or on your way to work, wishing you didn't have to because you were too sleepy, give that a listen and let us know your thoughts and get on there and comment with us. Let us know your opinions. We'll share them. We just love reaching out to you guys. Also, if you're interested, earlier this week, we already had an episode of the Chiefin' Podcast with Daily Dale and Lonnie. So I got that right here if you're interested in that. And then even further back, I made a breakdown video regarding the Eagles/Raiders games that have transpired. So if you want to see my quick summary, you can go there to watch that. And then one last thing is I'm going to ask you all to like and subscribe. Follow us on all our social media platforms at Red Kingdom Media to let us know that you're enjoying what we're doing. Any final thoughts before we leave for this episode?
Just that I'm excited and ready to watch them dominate, hopefully.
Dang right. I'm ready to watch it too.
Yeah.
Everybody have a great rest of your day. As always, go Chiefs!
Thanks for checking out this update straight from the heart of Chiefs Kingdom. We appreciate your passion, so please leave a like and follow us wherever you tune in from. See you next tailgate, your trusted source for all things Chiefs.